Proudest Reporter readers. Today I'm here with Gloria Allred, who is known as one of the country's best civil rights attorneys. Hi, Ms. Allred. It's an honor to meet you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to meet you too, Shayna.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me to do an interview.
Thank you. Did you always know that you wanted to be a lawyer?
No, I didn't always know. But I did think about it when I was graduating from college. But at the time, I had a little girl, and I was a single parent, and I didn't think I could afford to go to law school. So I became a teacher.
Oh.
And I love teaching. I was a teacher for 6.5 years in public schools in Philadelphia, and also I moved to California, and I was a teacher there, and I loved being a teacher. And so I was a teacher before I went to law school and became a lawyer.
How did you get the idea of wanting to be a lawyer?
Well, I earned a credential to be a high school principal.
Oh.
But then, even though I could be a principal, I decided to go to law school because I had been teaching in a certain area in Watts, and they really wanted African American principals in those days, which was the right thing because a lot of the students were African American, and it was long overdue for them to have role models who were African American, to have them as principals and vice principals. And so even though I was offered a position in another area, I decided maybe I could make a contribution to education by going to law school. So I went to law school, and I love law school, and I love the law, and I was fortunate to become a lawyer.
Yes. What is your proudest professional moment?
My proudest professional moment is any time that I can handle a case for a client and that my clients are happy with the results.
Of course.
That they feel that the result was fair, that they were able to stand up to seek justice, that they were able to get at least some measure of justice, the most possible under the circumstances of the facts and the law of their case, and that they're happy that they stood up and that they became empowered, and so that they then feel that they can make a difference not only in their own lives, but perhaps in the life of their family and in the life of their community.
That's very proud.
Yes, I'm very proud of my clients because they're the real heroes. The men, the women, often the girls and the boys, because I also have represented children,
Yes.
your age and sometimes younger, who have stood up against some form of injustice. I don't know if you know that many years ago I had a case against a drugstore because they had an aisle that said boys' toys and another aisle that said girls' toys. And I said, that's wrong. That's discrimination. There is no such thing as a boy's toy or a girl's toy. I mean, after all, why should the money games be always on the boys' side? Don't girls have to know how to take care of money? Maybe be a hedge fund manager one day, like you want to be, right?
Yes.
Or pay bills, or maybe the girls are going to have a job outside the home and they need to know how to figure out how much salary they're going to get.
That's very unfair.
And the bills to pay, right. And why shouldn't boys be able to play with dolls as well, right? And why are all the doctor kits on the boys' side and the nurses' kits on the girls' side? Boys can become nurses. And why are the cookware? Why are the cooking items, the pots and the pans, why is that all on the girls' side? I mean, don't boys cook? And often they do, and sometimes they become chefs, and sometimes they cook at home for their families.
You can do whatever you want.
That's right. So there's no such thing as a boy's toy, no such thing as a girl's toy, and we are happy to say that we were able to be successful. We fought for justice on behalf of 7 boys and 7 girls, your age and younger, and we got the signs taken down.
That's great.
Yes, thank you very much.
What is the most valuable lesson you've learned through your career?
My most valuable lesson is something that I learned in college, that if we have an opportunity to help others, and we have the desire to help others, and if we have the ability to help others, that's the only moral choice that we can make. In other words, that's the right thing to do, that all of us have an opportunity to help to make this a better world and to empower others to stand up and fight against injustice. And that's what I have a duty to do. It's a choice, but it's also my duty. And I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to do this, to help others. And so that's the most important lesson that I have learned, that we can do this together as a team, people who have faced injustice, lawyers who want to help them and be a team, a strong team for them, and advocates for them, and to use our system of justice to make life better for them.
That's a very great lesson that everyone should learn.
Thank you very much. And that there's still a lot of injustice against women and girls. I don't know if you know that. You know, sometimes girls don't have the opportunities that boys have. And there are boys that are also discriminated against sometimes, and I've had those cases as well.
Yes.
And you know there are minorities as well. Do you know what I mean by a minority?
No.
Okay, well, minorities, in other words, people who are not the majority. The majority is like more than 50%, right?
Yeah.
Well, there are small groups of people that are sometimes discriminated against because they are a minority. They're not understood. Maybe people like a racial minority, people who are African American, sometimes people who are Latina. Sometimes people are discriminated against because they're Asian American. Sometimes because they're lesbian, or because they're gay, or because they're transgender, or for some other reason. In other words, a factor over which they have no control. I didn't choose to be female, born a female, but I am, and I'm happy that I am.
Yes.
But there should not be laws that treat me differently and give me fewer rights.
It's not your fault that you were born female.
Not my fault, and the law should treat us all equally, right?
Yes.
In other words, because I was a girl and now a woman, I shouldn't be paid less
Yes.
than a boy or a man. Do you agree with that?
Very much.
Okay. And because I'm a girl or a woman, I shouldn't have any violence inflicted on me simply because I'm a girl, right?
Yes.
We call that gender violence. And so there are different kinds of discrimination, and like a lot of moms who are single moms, they can't collect the child support to help their children. That's not right. And so we have to make things equal.
Yes.
And so that's what I believe. That's what I stand up for.
Yes.
So there are girls around the world, for example, who can't even go to school. Like you are glad you can go to school, right?
Very glad.
And I understand you like to read,
Yes.
right? And I love that because people who read are generally people who end up being very successful.
Yes.
And what do you like best about reading?
You just get to escape into another world.
Yes, you do. And what's your favorite book?
I like the Who Was series a lot.
Which one?
The Who Was series. It's a biography series.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And one day maybe you'll write your
Yes.
autobiography.
Hopefully.
Okay, well, hopefully that's true. So there are girls around the world that they don't even have an opportunity to go to school. They don't have a book to read. They're not allowed to, only the boys are.
That's very unfair for them.
I'm glad you said that. It's a very good way to put it, Shayna, that is very unfair. So all of us who have that privilege and the right to go to school, we need to stand up for other girls too and other women.
Yes.
So they have that same wonderful opportunity that we can enjoy.
Yes.
So I've interrupted your questions, but you feel free to go ahead.
Who are your biggest role models?
My biggest role model. Well, I think the role models that I look to often are Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Do you know who they are?
I know who Susan B. Anthony is.
You
She
do?
stood up for women's rights.
She did. Stood up for women's rights and for a woman to be able to have the right to vote.
Yes.
And she worked for that. And she and Elizabeth Cady Stanton and many other women who stood up for that, called suffragists, stood up for suffrage, which is the right to vote for women.
Yes.
They worked from 1848 to 1920, all those years, 72 years to win the right to vote for women.
That's such a long time.
It is.
And no one should have to wait that long to get treated fairly.
Oh, beautifully said.
Thank you.
Very, very beautifully said. And so if you ever hear anyone say women were given the right to vote, you tell them no. Women were never given the right to vote. They had to fight to win it, and they had to say, we deserve it. And they marched, and they picketed, and they went to see their elected officials, and they waged campaigns, and they said, you know what, we have as much value as men, and we should have the same rights, and we want the right to vote. And finally, they persuaded people that, yes, women should have the right to vote. And it was a hard battle, believe me. They didn't give it to them easily.
But they did win.
They won it. They earned it. They fought for it. And that's why we have the right to vote today. And one day, you will be voting
Yes.
in a presidential election.
I look forward to that.
And others. And maybe people will be voting for you. You think you might run for office, perhaps, one
I'm
day?
35 probably.
When you're 35? Well, that's for president, right?
Yes.
You can run long before that for other offices.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good.
I know working is your favorite thing to do, but what do you enjoy doing when you aren't working?
Well, I am working most of the time because I work nights and holidays and weekends, and I don't take vacations. And when I do take a little time off, I enjoy being with my family. I have a wonderful daughter,
Yes.
and I have 2 wonderful grandchildren. And my daughter's an attorney, my granddaughter's an attorney, and my grandson is a paralegal, and he is considering taking the law school entrance exam. And they're all very enjoyable to be around, very witty and very funny, and they like to tease me, and I just enjoy being with them, and I feel very fortunate to have a family. And I love going to the movies too.
Oh, is there a favorite movie you have?
I don't have a favorite movie. I think To Kill a Mockingbird was one of my favorite movies, and I just enjoy many movies. But it's something that I do enjoy, and I sometimes enjoy walking on the beach too.
Yes. I always end my interviews with the question, what is your favorite meal and dessert?
My favorite meal, well, I love salmon, and I like green vegetables. I know some people don't, but I do.
Even broccoli?
Even broccoli. Unlike a former president who said he didn't like broccoli. Yes, I do like green vegetables. And, of course, I love to have ice cream
Of course.
with hot fudge on it.
Yes.
I don't have it too often, but I have it sometimes.
It's a very great treat.
It is a wonderful treat, yes.
Thank you so much, Miss Allred. You inspire me in so many different ways, and you're one of my biggest role models.
Oh, how very kind of you. Thank you so much. Now, you had some questions written down.
Yes.
We've had a conversation. Is there anything else you would like to ask me? You can ask me anything. There's only a good question. There's no bad question. You can ask me anything and everything.